So Gideon Optics came out swinging and decided to drop 3 new optics all on the same day. The Judge 2, the Judge XL, and the Storm. So here recently, I started doing a lot of polls here on the channel, and I've really been enjoying doing these polls, and I'm getting a lot of participation from you guys. So I decided to let you guys pick which one of these optics I was going to do the review on first. And to be honest, you guys went a completely different direction than I thought this was going to go. I thought everybody was going to pick the Judge XL for the first optic we reviewed, but you guys picked the Storm. And not only did you pick the Storm won by a landslide. So I want to take a quick break and give a big shout out to my friends over at Fat Tack. And if you are a big guy like me, Fat Tack's got you covered. They've got shirts, shorts, swim trunks, hats, you name it. And they even have awesome holsters that are specifically made for bigger guys. So if you want to help out the channel, head over to Fat Tack, pick up some Chris from the 740 merch, and while you're there, check out all the other cool stuff that they offer, and check out the influencer store, because not only is Fat Tack supporting me, they are supporting a lot of other awesome content creators. All right, we're over on the other bench. Let's go over the packaging real quick. This is the top of the box, the sides. And on all your Gideon Optics boxes, this side will have all your specs, and it will also show you if this is the green version or the red version. Obviously, this is the green dot version. So if you do decide to order the Storm, you do have the option of a red dot or a green dot. Now your box top just lifts off. We'll set this off to the side. Here on top, you have your owner's manual. The other side, we have a Gideon Optics sticker, a lens cleaning cloth, got your foam padding, we've got the optic, it is wrapped in plastic. We're going to set this off to the side. Your battery goes right here. I already have the battery installed. You have your screws. Looks like we've got 6 screws in this pack. And in this bag, you have your Torx wrench and your flathead screwdriver. And that is everything in the box. All right, here is our Gideon Optics Storm. Take a quick look at this. There is the front, the other side, there is the back, and the top. Now this is mounted on an adapter for a 1913 rail, so if you do want to put this on a shotgun or a rifle, you can. So the first thing I want to go over on this Storm is this is a first for Gideon Optics. So if you look at the orientation of the screws here on top, kind of reminds you of the RMSC footprint, but this optic has the DeltaPoint Pro footprint. So now you might be asking yourself, why did Gideon make an optic with the DeltaPoint Pro footprint? Well, that is because the SIG P320 does have the DeltaPoint Pro footprint, which means you will be able to take this optic and direct mount it right to the slide of your SIG P320. And obviously there are a lot of other guns out there that you can use this optic on, especially guns that come with optic mounting plates. Most of those will have a DeltaPoint Pro adapter plate. Alright, let's go over some quick specs. The housing on this is constructed out of 7075 T6 aluminum. The length on this is 47.7 millimeters. It is 31.2 millimeters tall and 30.8 millimeters wide. This weighs in at 1.37 ounces, and it's got a really nice size window of 24 millimeters by 21.5 millimeters. Alright, I got the dot turned on, and I've got it turned all the way up, and this thing is insanely bright. Now, I am getting a little bit of starbursting with this 6 MOA dot, but if I turn it down a few clicks, a lot of that starbursting goes away. But this is not an issue with the dot. This is because I have astigmatism. But I must say, this looks pretty damn good. Now, the Storm does have a side load battery. This does run on a CR1632 battery. It does have shake awake, so this will go to sleep after 255 seconds if it is sitting still. As soon as you grab whatever you have this mounted on or tap the optic, it will come right back on. To access the battery, you're going to use a flathead screwdriver, remove this screw, pull the tray out, and change out your CR1632 battery. Now, your brightness level adjustments are on this side. You've got an arrow up to increase your brightness and an arrow pointing down to decrease the brightness, and they are nice and tactile and audible when you are adjusting your brightness up and down. Now, as far as the battery life goes, they have nothing listed on the website of how long a battery will last in this optic. But being that it has shake awake, it will probably last quite a while. And being that it is a side load battery, it doesn't really matter. Just swap the battery out once a year and you will be good to go. Now, the Storm is all sealed up on the bottom. This does have an IPX7 waterproof rating, and it is shock resistant up to 1000 Gs. Now, one thing that I like to do in all these optic review videos is test out our windage and elevation. I like to see how tactile and audible the clicks are. Okay, the elevation is very tactile and very audible. Let's see about the windage. Very nice. Very tactile, very audible. Now, your windage and elevation is 1 MOA per click. You will get 45 MOA of total travel on the windage and 45 MOA of total travel on your elevation. And the best part about this Gideon Optics Storm, this does come with Gideon Optics lifetime guarantee. Let's head out to the range and have some fun. Now, normally when I get to the range, the first thing I like to do with the optic is get it sighted in and then shoot a few 10-shot groups. But for the entire day at the range, we were dealing with 20 to 25 mile an hour winds, and 10-shot groups were definitely not going to happen. Not only was I dealing with my targets blowing off of the stands, the actual stands were blowing over. Now, the first thing that I noticed was how nice and clear the glass was on the Storm. I've been doing a lot of reviews here lately on all the new optics that came out from Gideon, and all of those optics have had really nice, clean glass, and the Storm was no different. All right, target on the left. We got all alphas. We got all our hits on steel. Next target, we've got all alpha, 1 Charlie. All right, our next target, we've got all alphas, but we do have 3 Charlies. We've got all our hits on steel. And our last target, we've got 4 alpha. Now, everyone that's been following my channel for a long time knows that I definitely prefer a green dot over a red dot. And I just wrapped up filming the review with the Judge XL, also in the green dot. And in that video, I said how insanely bright the green dot was. And the same thing holds true with this Storm. This green emitter is just insanely bright. Now, as far as starbursting goes, I definitely get a lot less starbursting with green than I do with red. And even with this optic cranked all the way up, I'm getting very little starbursting, and the starbursting that I am getting is very faint around the crisp dot. All right, our target on the left, we've got all alphas. Got one down here, just barely made it. We've got all our hits on steel. All right, our next target, we've got all alphas and one Charlie, right against the perf. And our next target, we've got all alphas, but we do have two Charlie. Got all our hits on steel. And our last target, we've got all alphas. Now, when this optic showed up with all the other optics that they sent, this one was probably the one I was the least excited to test out. One of those reasons being, I didn't have a lot of options to mount this because of it having the DeltaPoint Pro footprint. And lucky for me, my good buddy Brian had loaned me the Echelon to do a review on, and the Storm mounted right up to the optic mounting system on the Echelon. So we've already talked about how much I love the green dot and how bright it is. And the second thing I want to talk about that is probably my most favorite thing with this optic is that window. It's a nice big window. And one really unique thing about this optic is the width and the height are exactly the same. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is the height of the base on this optic. Now, it is a little bit taller than the base on the Judge XL and on the Valor Mini, but both of those optics have the RMSC footprint. But it is still low enough that I'm able to co-witness the sights on this Echelon. Now let's talk about the shake awake on the Storm. Now, I'm doing something new on the channel. I'm not doing the shake awake test until after I get the gun back from the range. And the reason I'm doing this now is because after I put 200 or 300 rounds on the optic, and that optic is bouncing back and forth on the slide all day, I think it's a better time to test the shake awake. And as you can see in the footage, the shake awake is working just fine. Now, Gideon states that this optic will shut off after sitting still for 225 seconds. And for my test, that is right on par with what I was getting. All right, so let's get into our list of pros and cons for this optic. And I don't really have any cons with this dot, except for the fact that it has the DeltaPoint Pro footprint. Now, I'm okay with that because I know a lot of people out there have SIG 320s and they can direct mount this optic to that slide. My con with this optic is the fact that this optic is just flat out awesome, and I hope, if you guys at Gideon are listening, you need to make this with the RMR footprint as well and give people both options, because this will sell like crazy with the RMR footprint. Now, we've pretty much gone over all the pros with this optic. It's got a side load battery. It does have an iron sight built into the back of the optic. The windage and elevation work great. Took about 5 shots to get this dialed in. Every 50 rounds I was checking the optic to make sure it wasn't coming loose, and it was fine. I was also checking the brightness level adjustments up and down about every 50 to 100 rounds just to make sure that was all still working fine, and it was. Your brightness level adjustments are nice and tactile. It's just a really, really nice optic. And the damn thing just looks good. It is a good looking optic. So at the end of the day, do I recommend the Gideon Optics Storm? Absolutely. If you've got a gun that uses the DeltaPoint Pro footprint, this is a must-have. And hopefully, in the future, Gideon Optics will make this in an RMR version. Now, if you want to pick up this Gideon Optics Storm or any other Gideon optic, head over to my website, scroll down to the weekly deals section, and there is always a link there to Gideon Optics. And there could possibly be a code there to save you some of your hard-earned cash. Now, I want to thank everyone who participated in the poll I thought that was a lot of fun, and it was super cool that you guys picked the optic that you wanted me to do the review on first. And we're going to be doing a lot more of those poles in the future. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.